Welcome to the podcast, Steve. I'm really happy to meet you. Thank you for your time. I 100% appreciate it. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. It's a nice day out here in Chicago, which we don't get a lot of those all the time. So we definitely want to enjoy it when we get it. Um, it's funny. I talk to people all around the country, and I have for a long time. And sometimes I'll get people where they're in Texas or Florida or Southern California, and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, it's real cold today." I was like, "Oh really? How cold?" And they're like, "It's like 72, chilly." And I'm like, that's not cold. I'm like, up here in Chicago, like if we get into the 50s, we're like shorts and t-shirt. I'm like, please send me some of that warm weather. So days like this, nice summer days, I'm enjoying it. It's hard to be grumpy when the sun's out. So just trying to be
How's your
grateful.
day been? How's your day been so far? Ryan?
It's been good. Yeah, yeah, busy. It's super busy. I own a couple different companies.
Okay.
I've got a marketing firm that does like a lot of TV and radio advertising. We've got a subdivision of that that does political advertising, so just for political candidates. Then I have the real estate company, which is kind of how we got connected. And then I bought a electrical services company that specializes in home generator installation. Um, and then on top of all that, I just got not just like a couple months ago, really went in on the deep end on AI. And I love AI. I love AI agents and all stuff, and it's amazing. And in the very beginning, it was such a productivity unlock for me. I mean, night and day, it was incredible. But eh, I do this. I'm sure everyone else does. As people tend to do, when you get more efficient, or like if you get a raise and like you now have more money than your means, instead of kind of saving or banking, that extra that you just created, we fill it, right? You see people all the time. They're making 100,000 and things are tight. And all of a sudden they start making 150,000. What do they say? Living at 100,000? No, they start living at 150, right? You're putting in time in your business and you go hire someone, or you create some system or process that unlocks it. And you're like, oh my God, now I've got an extra 2-3 hours a day. What do? Do you go and spend that just with your kids or just working out? No, a lot of times you end up just taking on more work. And so I've fallen a little bit into that trap, is that the AI has unlocked so much productivity and stuff, but I've now then just filled it. So like every day is busy, but it's fun and it's exciting. And so even busy days are good days.
That was a lot. I have a lot of questions, but before
Yeah,
we jump into that, I will get into every single business you have because that's what we're all about here in My Real Estate Story, about you, about where you got started. But I have to ask this question because I ask this question for every guest.
please
Um,
ask away.
right. Outside of real estate, outside of your
Mhm.
profession, Steve, who are you? Who are you that your friends and family know?
Yeah. So I'm married. My wife, Christina, she's my business partner, my better half. I couldn't do this without her. We've been married 14, 15 years now. I've got four kids. Two are her daughters from a previous marriage, and I kind of came in when they were young and been there. They're not in the house anymore. They're off doing their own things. Wonderful adults. It's amazing to see what they've both done. And then Christine and I had two kids, and so they're younger. They're like 11 and 12. Um, and I love being a dad. Like kids are amazing. I knew from an early age like I wanted kids, and like I know they're not for everybody, but if you're thinking about having kids, I would say have kids. I think it's incredible. I was very fortunate when I was young in that I made some money and I traveled and I partied and like got all the rock star type stories. And I'll tell you, there's all that is fun and amazing, and I'm not knocking it in any way, but there's a different level of joy of like interacting with your child. When your kid comes up and just tells you unpromptly, like, I love you, daddy, or like, hey, let's
Yeah.
hang out, or let's wrestle, or let's watch this show together, or like they tell you something that they learned or something they came up with, and you're like, wait a minute, like, especially when they're young, right? And you see that progression, and you're like, I didn't teach that. And first, it's all you. You're teaching them everything. But then when they start becoming their own person, I don't know. Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm a sap. But like moments like that, when they come up and they're showing me their personality and like their interests and things they came up with, it's an incredible joy that is really hard to compare to anything else in life. So
Genuinely, my friend, I would like to quote my friend, the dad shit hit you hard. I don't know when it came to you. You're maybe in the hospital, but I was about to like ask 4 kids. You look very young, brother. Just a
Thank
compliment
you.
right there. But really, okay. So 4 kids from it's a split. But anyway, handsome guy like you, I would really think you did party a lot. You said you made some money when you were young. When you were young,
Yeah,
may we know how you got that money, and maybe let's talk about how you got started.
sure. Yeah. So when I was young, I was probably like I want to say 20-ish. I had just taken some time off of work to like go hard in school, like in college. Like I took a like overloaded schedule, all this stuff, and it was amazing. I really enjoyed my time in college. I think even nowadays, where I know college is kind of de-emphasized in some sense of like, hey, the return versus the cost. The cost has been crazy. You don't need a degree, and I believe that. I don't think you need a degree, but I don't think college is, at least nowadays, you necessarily go there for the degree. I think college is, it teaches you how to think. And so you go there to learn how to think, or you go there to create relationships, or you go there to create experiences. And that at this point is more valuable than say the direct, like learn this information. Because nowadays information is so free, so democratized. I mean, between Google and YouTube, you can
Yeah.
literally learn anything for free at your own pace at any time, and have someone personally teach it to you, right? So, and then you throw in AI, like a chat GPT or a Claude. I mean, you put those three together, and is the information age we're at is unprecedented in any time in history. So like, it's so easy to get access to information. So really, I think the idea of college is that like, it's the experience you had. So I really had some great experiences, but I got to a point where I was like, okay, I took this, double this extra schedule. I did some study abroad stuff. It was really great, but I'm like, I gotta make some money now, right? Like I gotta get my life back on track and kind of figure out some stuff, right? And so I went back at like 20, a little bit earlier than 21. I went back to a job I had. It was a call center for like the number one telemarketing company in the country, and I had formerly been a manager there. And so I came back, and so I knew I could go in as just like a call rep until I figured out what to do. And when I
Gotcha.
did, I went back and I was talking to the other managers, and I was like, hey, what's changed? What's new? I've been gone for whatever, 6 months or something, 9 months. And they're like, oh, yeah, we got this new manager. And they're like, I don't know what he does, but he showed me some check for 20 grand. And so as a 20-year-old kid, I was like, what do you mean he's got some check? Like, I know what we make here. Like, what do you mean you got a check for 20 grand, right? They're like, I don't know, something with like mortgages or real estate or stuff. So I was
Okay.
already kind of interested in real estate, but I was like, cool, let me go talk to that guy. And so I remember going to him and being like, hey, I'm Steve. Nice to meet you. Of course, he's looking at me like, who are you? Why are you coming at me? But like, I was like, hey, so-and-so said that you made 20 grand doing something in real estate. Like, what's that about? And so nonchalantly, he was like, oh yeah, I'm a mortgage broker. Like on the side, I help people get mortgages for their home. I was like, cool. Show me how to do that. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, bro, just teach me. Let's do this. Let's go. Like, he's like, whoa. And so looking back, I probably came out
He
a
was
little
the
hot.
manager, right? He was the manager there.
Yeah, he was also a manager
Okay.
there. So the story is that he would, so again, any kind of commission salesperson will be able to relate with this, right? You have some months you do really well, other months you don't, right?
Yes.
And so there's a little bit of this roller coaster effect. And if you average it out, it's probably fine. But in the moment, sometimes it's hard to deal with. And
Right.
so, he'd have months he'd make 20 grand and another month he made zero. Well, between the two, he's making 10 grand a month. Back then that's good money. And like, it's not like he would necessarily always have to work 40 hours a week for that, right? You could do one or two more. His wife didn't like the inconsistency. So she's like,
Okay.
I need you to go get some stable job. Like, I don't care if it pays you $10 an hour, which probably wasn't, too far off what he was getting paid. But she's like, I just need to see that stable check. He's like, that's silly. She's like, I don't care. This is what I need. He's like, okay. So he gets the job, and he had it for, I mean, maybe a month or something, couple weeks, and before I had come back and then, basically attacked him, was like, show me what you do. And so I kept pestering him for, I don't know, a couple weeks. And eventually he's like, all right, come over to my house, this Friday, and I'll show you some stuff. Well, I come over and he basically breaks down what it is to be like a mortgage broker, how he does it. It's like, at that point, it was a remote position, which again wasn't a very popular thing back in like '07, '08, or maybe even '06, maybe. And so I fell in love with it. I was like, this is great. I'm like, I got to make phone calls. I'm like, I'm already working at a telemarketing company. I can make phone calls, and like, instead of slinging credit cards or other, silly products, whatever, I can sell somebody a mortgage. I make how much money? I make a percentage of what their loan is. Sign me up. And so we literally like dove in, worked all through the weekend, and by Monday we both were calling in and quitting the job where we had met.
Wow. Both of you.
And, yeah, both of us. And so I was 20, he was 21 at the time.
That was the manager. He was 21.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. How'd you convince his wife? Or how did he convince his wife to leave the W-2?
Um, he didn't all the way. So like eventually it was great, but he
Crazy.
was already doing it anyways, like doing the mortgage on the side. He got the
Gotcha.
job for her, but I think with me coming on board, um, and I was like, let's just go gangbusters on this. I had like
Wow.
good credit because like my uncle had put me on his credit cards, and he was like really fastidious about it, like really good about it. And so like I was like 12, but like it's an authorized you don't hit it. So I all of a sudden I'm like 18 and I've got like a 780 credit score or something. You know what I mean? So like I had great
Jeez.
credit. And so like, and back then that was, easy credit. So I'm like, again, I'm making probably whatever, 15 bucks an hour, 18 bucks an hour, or
Yeah.
something, right? But like I've got, 20, $30,000 in credit cards available to me, right? Just silly.
The
But
ratio was insane.
yeah, but so like I was like, hey man, I got some cards, like I'm willing to put this in. And like he's like, great, I'll give you part of the business. Which again, looking back now, it's like it was just him. So like him giving me a part of the business wasn't it was a nice gesture, but it's not like he was like giving me some Fortune 500 company. But like to me, I was like, oh shit, I own part of this now. I'm like, it's me and him, we're business partners. And so we just like we're like, all right, we're gonna dive in and do this, and we just started doing it. And so we're doing the like residential mortgages, but very quickly we realized like, wait a minute, if we're making a percentage of a loan, and someone's trying to get like a $300,000 loan for a home,
Okay.
what if we could find leads where someone needs to get a loan for like a building, a strip mall, an apartment complex, something else,
See where
and
it's
they
going.
need 3 million, right? If I'm going to make 1, 2, 3% off of 300,000, if I can do the same work essentially, but make 1, 2, three
For
percent off of
bigger.
3 million, well, that's a better use of my time. And so
Yeah.
we then found a lead source that had commercial leads. We did a bunch of research. Google was our best friend. We were very good at researching stuff back then and finding like hard money lenders, exploring it, figuring it out, and we just kind of built it up. And so eventually we were working with different hard money lenders. We were getting more leads in. We then hired more agents. They were working the leads. We built this up. We eventually go and get this big office, and we've got all these things going. And it was crazy and it was fun and amazing. Um, we eventually got a foreign investment of $5 million to become a direct lender. So we were loaning directly to people on real estate transactions. We were loaning directly on business transactions. And we were working to create a loan product. And this is going to sound silly or maybe sound scammy, but basically we're setting up this loan product where the borrower had no obligation to repay the loan and no obligation to make payments on the loan.
Okay.
I know, sounds crazy, right?
Right,
So
right, right.
basically, we were
Humble
bringing in
life.
different parts and this kind of creative, esoteric, strategy where it's like, okay, you're gonna have like a company come in and they're gonna loan you $100 million, like for a day, basically, right? And you're gonna go to the bank and you put that 100 million into a CD. Okay, well
Yeah.
now the CD's got that and it earns interest, but we're gonna strip those two away. We're gonna use the CD. Okay, that's collateral. Let's go get a hundred
Right.
million dollar loan against that collateral, right? Okay,
Wow.
well now we can pay back the company that gave us the initial
Cash
money.
flow.
Right.
100% cash
Then
flow.
we've got like, okay, we're making interest. We could sell off the interest that the CD makes to some like a pension fund or something, right? And so they'll invest. And so there's all these different pieces that you put together. And through the end of it, it's like great. Like you get your money back and make a percent. You get your money, make a percent. Here's a bunch of money for you to go trade and do stuff as long as you guarantee to make the payments on our behalf. And at the end of the day, like as a borrower, you net out maybe, I don't know, 7, 8, 9, maybe 10% of the loan. But like, okay, the loan is due in 10 years. The CD opens up in 10 years. So in 10 years, the CD, it's the same amount, will repay the loan. Okay, that's how that gets paid back. Okay, this company over here is trading and doing stuff with the money, and they get to keep any profit they make as long as they agree to make the payments during that 10-year period. Okay, cool. They're handling the payments. A whole bunch of the money went away, but you get 10%, but that money to you is essentially free and clear. Plus, it's a loan, so it's not taxed or anything. So
Yes.
we're excited by coming up with this strategy. And we ended up even going to I was going to China, like meeting with Deutsche Bank and Credit Suisse and HSBC and stuff like that. And we were having these meetings because the investor was from China. And so I'm 21, 22, 23. We're flying over there. We're doing all this stuff. And it was amazing. And again, obviously during this time, my partner also, we started going out and having a good time as young people would do, and going to clubs and stuff and
Yeah.
going on vacations and different things, right? He was maybe a little loose with the money. So again, it was an amazing time though, right? unfortunately, this is right around '08, '09 as the whole financial sector is collapsing, right?
Crash, the
And
crash.
so literally, I remember as we're trying to like put these 5 pieces all in place to bring this deal together, we talked to Bear Stearns on a day, and they're like, yeah, this sounds good. We're going to fulfill that component of the deal. We'll be that part. We're like, oh yeah, nice, we got it. Okay, let's go get the other pieces.
Yeah.
Then next day, we're in the office feeling all good about ourselves, and up on the
And
TV
then
on the
nothing.
wall, it's like CNN with like breaking news: Bear Stearns is going to close down. And we're like, oh my god, we just so like we're trying to like replace the pieces as they kept just falling off. It was like we were running away from a wave that was just coming. And so, eventually the wave crashed and, we had to shut it down and stuff. But I went off to do some other stuff. I went into media. I went into like radio. I worked at Groupon a little bit because, again, it's a local company and it was doing well. But then I got into selling media, marketing, advertising, TV, radio, and stuff. But eventually, years later, came back around to real estate because I was like, I really do still like real estate. And so that's when I created the real estate company and, basically then added a whole nother job because by this point, I had a marketing company. We were doing TV, we were doing radio, but I liked real estate. So I was like, okay, well, let's bring that component in as well.
Together. Smart.
And so with real estate, I was doing some stuff, got some properties, some buy and holds, nothing crazy. And then I want to say in 2023, I found a guy named Pace Morby, and he's all about the creative finance. Yeah, sub two. There you go, my guy. I got an owners club.
Yeah.
So my accountant at the time, I still remember this. It's crazy, like some things that stick out in your life, right? So my accountant at the time goes, hey, I saw this video, this podcast. Like, you should check this guy out. I think you maybe like his stuff. I was like, all right, cool. And it's Pace Morby talking on the Iced Coffee Hour. And I watched that podcast and immediately I was like, I love this dude. Everything he's saying is resonating with me. I get it. It sparked. I was like, yes. And I remember going to my wife, Christina. And as it turns out, most of the best decisions I made in my life is really because of her. And so, at the time, things were a little tight. The marketing company wasn't doing super hot, this and that. And I was like, hey, I think we should go and join this thing. And I'm like, I don't completely know what joining it is, right? But like, it's going to be some money, but we should join. And, but I'm like, look, if, stuff's tight. I'm going to go drop, thousands and thousands of dollars. I don't know if this is going to work out. So if you say no, like, that's okay. And to her credit, she's, she listened. I told her what, and she's like, no, I think we should do this. Go ahead and join up. So I joined up. And two things happened, like in the first month, basically, of me joining the Sub2 community that were huge. So one, I ended up getting a deal within the first 30 days of joining. I went and found a multi-unit property. I posted out on the forums in the community and stuff like that, saying, hey, I got this deal. I ran all the numbers because I'm a numbers guy. Like, I made my own Excel calculators and all that stuff. I really like doing all that stuff. I'm like, I think the deal's good. I think she'll return this. I'm looking for someone to come put up the money. You put up the money, I'll run the deal. We'll split the profits 50-50, right? And this lady from Texas gives me a call, and she's like, hey, I saw your thing. We chat, we get along. And she's like, yeah, I'm in. I was like, oh my God, this is the greatest community ever. This is awesome. I'm like, I'm going to go buy this multi-unit with no money out of my pocket. This is phenomenal. So the funny thing is, I had been reaching out to this 4-unit, and it was in a little bit of a rougher part of a neighborhood, but I was trying to pitch it creatively, and the agent was having none of it. So now, though, that I got this investor, this private money partner, this PMP, saying that she'll put up the money, I'm calling the person back, the realtor, saying like, hey, I want to make a cash offer, right? Like, I'm just coming in cash. Even though like the creative offer, I was willing to basically pay like 50% more than they were asking. But this agent didn't understand creative at all, wouldn't even entertain the idea.
Yeah. Old school.
So I'm like, fine, I'll do cash. She would not take my call. Lee, I'm telling you, man, I called her. I texted her. I emailed her. Her son worked for her as an agent. I called, emailed, texted him. I was blowing these people up for like a week, 2 weeks straight because I'm like, oh my God, I have a person who's willing to give me all the money to buy this whole thing cash. It's right here. And the agent won't reply. And she literally finally answers the phone one time and was like, I already told you we're not going to do anything creative. Like, before even saying hi, nothing, just coming in hot, right? And I was like, no. I want to offer you cash, full cash offer right now, ready to close. Let's go. She goes, no, we're not interested.
Oh,
Hangs up, ends up selling for less money. I see it closes like a month later for less money. So for me though, I was like, this is crazy. Now, I had a feeling that the agent who was kind of ghosting me, I was like, all right, I can't go back to this lady and tell her like I've got nothing for her now, right? So I was like, let me start looking. So I ended up finding another property. Still, it was like a 2-unit, a little bit better part of the neighborhood and stuff. And the economics were actually still pretty strong because it could get better rents and it was different price points and stuff like that. So I came back to her and basically told her like, hey, I'm sorry, this one's gone, but I got this one. And I was nervous. Again, it was first time dealing with this, whatever. And she's like, no, that still sounds good. Let's do it. So I was like, okay, awesome. So she puts up the money, we buy it. And so right out the gate, a deal in like the first 30 days, got a partner, did the whole like I bought real estate with no money out of my pocket that you see online and you're like, that must be a scam. BS. It's like, no, it really does happen. And like a couple months later, found another 2-unit, negotiated a great seller finance deal with 0% interest, and found another partner group. They came in, same thing. They put the money in. I go and buy that 2-unit, right? So the sub 2 group, for me at least, the experience has been amazing. The people I've met in there have been phenomenal. Just really great go-givers. I can't speak enough about them or about Pace, kind of send the example from the top. The other big thing that I got from the group, though, is the fact that, again, it opened my mind up to this idea of creative finance and seller finance and stuff like that. So during that, coincidentally, that same time, right? So I joined in like June, I want to say, of 2023. And as I'm working that deal, the real estate deal, I have a client for my marketing company. They own an electrical company. They've been on with us a year and a half, 2 years. Real good client, never misses a payment. Hell, honestly, barely even like gives us any feedback. Like the only complaint was that they didn't give us enough. We'd show them social, emails and social posts. I was like, does this look good? Yeah, good. Do you want to change anything? No, good. Do you have any suggestions? You want to see a different tone? No, good. Like it made me almost insecure. I was like, they must be happy because they keep paying, but they give like no feedback, right? But I'm like, that's fine. I guess that's an easy customer, right? Just take the win. So
the best.
They all of a sudden miss a payment, right? So I called the owner up. His name's Bob. I was like, hey, Bob, just checking in. I saw that the payment balance or whatever, is everything okay? And Bob goes, no, actually, I'm in the hospital right now. I just had a heart attack. And I was like, oh, shit, Bob, like, you don't need to answer my call. Like, you could just text me, like, no worries, I'll let you rest and stuff. I'm sorry that happened. He goes on to tell me that the reason he had the heart attack was that his son, who had been dealing with a brain tumor off and on for like 10 years, the tumor just came back. I'm like, oh my God. And like when my son was born, he had some medical issues that in the first 2 years of his life, we didn't know if he was going to make it. I was in and out of the hospital all the time. So it hit me. I had a special place for him. Like, I'm like, dude, I'm so sorry that you're dealing with that. I was like, don't worry about the payment. Like, we'll keep running the media, the marketing, all the stuff. And when you get out of the hospital, we'll figure out, you'll get caught up. It's no big deal, but just don't worry about it. Just focus on yourself, focus on your family. We're about to hang up the phone. And as like a throwaway comment, he's like, yeah, I think I might just try to sell the business or something. So like, if you know anyone, if you could just pass my name along, that'd be great. And because I had joined Sub 2, like literally weeks before, and had my mind open to the idea of creative finance, I asked him one question that, not to be dramatic, changed my life. I go, yeah, I think I might be able to help you sell it. If I could find someone that would buy it, would you be open to selling on terms? And he says, yeah, sure, whatever gets it done. And so externally, I played it cool. Okay, I'll see what I can do, man. Get better, I'll get back to you. Internally, holy shit, I'm going to buy this dude's business.
yeah, it's you.
Great. Like, I'm going to do it with no money again. This is amazing, And so I remember going to, I went to my father, who had a couple years earlier had sold his company and then had came to work with me at my marketing company, right? And this was actually one of his clients that he kind of was overseeing and stuff. And I came to him and I was like, hey, I know this is going to sound crazy, but I think I'm going to buy this company. At the time they were called Saturn. I'm like, I think I'm going to buy Saturn. And he's like, what do you mean you're going to buy Saturn? I'm like, with what money, right? He's like, we see what they're making and how much, all the business they're doing is. And so he's thinking like, I'm going to need millions and millions of dollars to buy them. And I was like, no, I'm going to buy it with no money. And of course, at this point, he's looking at me like I got three heads, right? Because like, he's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I know it's crazy. I go, but if I can pull this off, I go, do you want to help run it? Because again, his last business functionally was very similar. It was a different widget. he used to sell fitness equipment. This is delivering generator. But there's parts where it's like, they would go to health clubs and every month or 3 months or a year go in and do preventive maintenance and check all the machines. Well, the generators, every year you go and you check the
Yeah.
generator and do preventive maintenance. Okay, cool. They would have to go and deliver big, heavy equipment in trucks, treadmills and whole gym stations. Okay, you got to go deliver a generator, right? So it's like there was very similar kind of mechanics of it, even though the widget was different. And so when I asked him, he's like, yeah, no, I could definitely run that business. I was like, okay, cool. And so over the next 2 months, got all their financials, looked through all their stuff. Coincidentally, I had a new sales rep from like a TV sales rep that was reaching out to me. And I kept like ignoring his calls because I was busy and stuff. And I ended up getting back to him, hey man, I'm sorry I've been busy. I got this real estate deal I was doing, but let's talk. You're my new rep for the station. And he goes, wait, you do real estate? I'm like, yeah. He goes, I do real estate. I invest in real estate too. We talked for 2.5 hours about real estate. Don't even talk about how he's my new TV rep, right? And like, I'm telling him all about creative finance and all this other stuff. He's like, oh, that's so amazing. That's cool. I was like, yeah, if I find a deal, maybe, we can do something together. And he's like, yeah. So he was open to being a PML, private money lender. And so now it's like a month later and I'm calling him back and I'm like, hey, I got a deal. It's not real estate, it's a business, but do you want to be a PML? And he's like, all right, send me the info. I sent him the info. And he looks it all over and he comes back and he goes, my attorney looked this over and says I shouldn't do this. And I'm like, oh, because like we needed this money to like, even though I negotiated a no money down, 0% interest, like we needed money to like run the company. Because unfortunately, Bob, again, he was in the hospital and stuff. He wasn't running things. It was getting to a bad state. And so I'm like, I'm like crestfallen. But then Dan, the rep, he comes back and goes, but to the hell with it. Let's do it. And I was like, yeah. He's like, yeah, let's do it. So he invested money in. We pay him 1% interest only payments. He makes 12% on his money. He's been making it for years. At one point he asked, was like, hey, can I get some of my money back out? We're like, yeah, no problem. He's like, I need it in like 3 months. I got this other investment. I want to move some stuff around. No problem. We paid him back that. The rest of his money, we just keep paying him like clockwork. In fact, I think I just sent him a payment yesterday at the beginning of the month. And so it's been great for him in that sense. And it's been great for us. And so we were able then to buy that business, get in there. And I remember we bought it. It was like August 31st was a Thursday. September 1st was like a Friday. We go in that Friday. We're talking to the employees. We'd met them before, but now we're like, hey, we've completed the sale. We bought it. We're the new owners. We're not coming in to fire any of you guys. We want to help elevate you guys. We want to listen to you guys. We want to support you. We're excited to make this better. Weekend happens. It's now Monday the next week. And Bob calls me and he's like, hey, I'm really glad you bought the business from me. And I'm like, yeah, no, me too. Like, we're going to do well. He goes, no, you don't understand. If we didn't complete that transaction last week, today I was going to file bankruptcy and shut the whole thing down, fire everybody.
Wow. I didn't expect that.
Damn, no, did not expect that. And I was like, wow. And I'm like, no, okay, well, I'm glad that didn't happen and those people's jobs were saved. Like, that makes me feel good. And no, I'm excited to help build this up. And so, again, we had to go through some ups and downs with the business as with anything. But, at this point now, we've had the business 3 years and, we've rebranded and stuff, but we're excited. And, we're still, continuing to work to grow it more and more and more. We've been able to provide raises to employees and just, put in processes and systems to make it better and smoother and add in technology and things like that. And so I'm excited for where it's going. And to follow up on what I said earlier, I ended up giving my dad ownership and put him in as the operator and stuff. And so now him and I own that business together.
And your marketing lead, is he involved in it as a PML as well? Is he your he's also like a manager there now?
Who? Oh, so my father, he stopped working for the marketing company and basically took over running the electric company. Because I gave him ownership and he's essentially the operator.
Okay, totally. He's full time there now. He's full time there.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. How about your marketing? You mentioned like a person from your marketing, like the TV marketing lead, right?
Oh, so yeah.
He
so
still
that
works
guy
for that too?
Well, so he doesn't work for the electric company, but he's a private money lender. So he still has money with us. Yeah. So he lent money, and so the company pays him money every single month. Pays him a payment on his money. He makes 12% a year.
Wow, genius. Well, your story is amazing, and like I've had questions, but you were answering them as you were going.
Yeah, I got out of roll.
No, it's good.
So sorry.
No, it's not about me. I just want to say that you're bringing a lot of value here, but I want to get to the personal side now. There's one thing that you said that really latched onto me. When you bought that company, or when you had that idea of buying that company, you said that there was a change in your mindset, right? My question usually for that is, which first property or for which first real estate opportunity truly changed your, your thinking about wealth? But in your case, I guess it's this, right? It's the electrical company that you bought, or
It was kind of
wh-
both because they
okay,
happened kind of simultaneously, right? So
okay,
again, I joined Sub Two, and at that point, I'm deep down the rabbit hole in YouTube land with Pace Morby and stuff, and just consuming all of his content and everything. And really, between over that like initial first 2 months of being in, right? So like June to August type of thing, right? Um, between doing the first deal with Chrissy, who was my PMP on that 2 unit property,
gotcha.
and then buying the electric company, right? And so now I'm like, okay, I've bought a property, I bought a multi-unit property, buy and hold with no money out of pocket, and I just bought a whole business, no money out of pocket, and I did it because of this community and the concepts of creative finance and that, and so that little like less than a quarter time frame, um, really kind of empowered me and unlocked things for me, and I think people sell themselves short.
Great.
People, I think sometimes feel guilty or bad or shame or what's it when they try to dream too big, right? The world beats you down. The world's hard, man. Sometimes, Lee, I'm sure you know it, your listeners probably know it, like it's tough. And like I think it's easy sometimes to get beaten down by the world a little bit, take some L's, have things not go your way, that you forget to stay positive about like, no, you are special and you can do great things. And whatever you think you can do, you actually can probably do a lot more of it. You know what I mean? Like you should value yourself higher, even if the world's being tough, even if the world's beating you down, you need to value yourself higher because you can do amazing things. And I think that at that time, like I said, you know, as in any business, like the marketing company was okay and stuff. The real estate I wasn't doing a lot with, and then in that short span, I just got 2 big wins, and it made me realize, like, you know what? Go after things. Get your swag back. Get your confidence back. Dream big and shoot big. And like, it's hard. Like I get it. Like sometimes my wife teases me, right? Because like I'll come in with some big ideas, and they don't always hit. I'll be the first to say. Like sometimes I'm dreaming real big, right? But I would much rather dream big and fall a little short than dream small and never actually get anywhere. I think fear is one of the worst things that can happen to people. And I see this, especially now, like, so now in the real estate business, I'm not acquiring properties as much anymore. What I do now mostly for the real estate business is I help people get funding, right? So I've got a whole database of private money lenders and hard money lenders and institutional lenders. And I help people structure like, 100% financing for fix and flips and different things like that. And it's amazing what can happen where people can change their lives, where when they push and they step a little bit outside their comfort zone, how much better they can make things for themselves and for others, and they can collaborate and do great things. But so many times I see people stuck in a fear-based position, and to me, it's just really sad. Like I wish people would have a little less fear, be a little more curious, and be willing to believe in themselves and bet on themselves a little bit more.
Right. Well, spoken like a true member of the Sub 2 community, you are special, right? And I did say this to another guest earlier. I said, I believe, and I want your thoughts on this. I believe,
Mhm.
of course, Space Morby always says this, you're special for as long as you believe in it. But for me, people like you who have been, you know, always grinding, but, empowered and activated by the Sub 2 community, by Pace Morby, right?
Mhm.
I think you guys were special, right? Because people who are not special won't be able to utilize what Pace Morby is giving. What is your thought about that? What are your thoughts about that? Or do you still believe like anybody is special? Because for me, I've talked to a lot of people who are like, again, member of the Sub 2,
Mhm.
um, I believe you guys are special, right? You guys were special. I think you worked hard for it. I believe in both destiny and also working hard for it. That goes hand in hand. But I would argue with Pace Morbian saying the people who are activated by your message were special innately. What are your thoughts? You can disagree, of course. There's no. What's your thought on that? Do you think you guys are
Yeah,
just special, or anybody's
I,
special?
I think Pace does a great job of setting the culture from the top of really being a
Right.
go getter. My experience in the community is that pretty much everybody I've met, it's been great. I mean, I've been in other real estate communities, and no shade on those, but it's
Yes.
nothing like the creative community, right? The sub two community, because it's just people that just seem like they really want to help much more. I do think that everybody has obviously there's a different idea, right? Everyone's like inherently special, right? Because like you're a person and like you're unique and your soul and
Right.
that kind of stuff. But I'm not talking about that. I think that everyone has the ability to be special in the sense of like being able to accomplish things. But again, I think what holds people back is fear. The fear
Yep.
of failure, the fear of looking bad in front of their family and their friends.
Right.
And I think the fear of not doing the things you know you should do to get your life to where you want it to be holds people back and dims their light. It keeps them from being as special as they could be. Like, I'll give you an example.
Right.
I've got a buddy of mine, grew up with him. And over the years, sometimes he's worked for me when I had different businesses, and other times he doesn't and stuff. And over the last 5 years, multiple times I've come to him and been like, hey, man, I've got this opportunity. Would you like to partner with me on this? Right. And the ease of the opportunity has come lower and lower, right? Like, at one point I was like, hey, if you can come and work with me. Okay, you can't do that because you're somewhere else. You already got a job. Okay. Hey, you got some money. It's just sitting there in the bank doing nothing, making you no money. Why don't you come invest in this deal? You can be a partner on the deal. Okay, no, you're scared about tying up your money. Okay. Well, hey, dude, you got good credit. I've got a program where like I've seen people get 0% interest business cards, personal cards. Tell you what, you don't have to deploy or use any of your own actual cash. None of your liquidity gets touched. Just that good credit that you have that you're actually doing nothing with right now. Partner with me, get these cards. It's basically free money to you, and now you can get into a deal. No, still too scared of that. Okay. Hey, I got another deal. I've got to learn. You just come be a credit sponsor. You don't even have to like get anything. You just coming
So
in
low.
on it.
So
Just
low.
keep lowering the bar, lower the bar, lower the bar.
So
And
low.
every step, it's like, this is what you could make. Here's the money. Like, here's the return. Blah, and again, significant money and with less and less work on his part. Every time he says no. And every time I'm like, what? And it's just like, well, what if something goes wrong? Bro, what if something went right? Like
Right.
you're so worried about something going wrong that you don't think about the rightness. And the part that stabs me in the heart is like, I'll call him and talk to him and he'll answer. And he just sounds so despondent. And I'll be like, bro, like
Right.
he's like, oh yeah, life's okay. I wish things were better, just not happy, clearly. And I'll ask him, like, okay, well, what are you doing about it to make it better? If it's not for me, but just it's something else, even. Are you pursuing other deals, other opportunities, other hobbies, other things, ventures, whatever? What are you doing? Nothing. Okay, so how's it going to get better? Probably won't. And when he says it just probably won't, and like the resignation in his tone, and I'm like, bro, your fear of the negative is so strong that you are now saying it's okay, that you're admitting your life is not good, not where you want it to be. You admit that doing this path is not going to make it better, but you're just accepting that. You're just okay with not even trying to improve your life because the fear that it might not work out is so great. And it's like, to me, that's tragic. It's like, take a shot. We get one life. As far as we know, there is no reincarnation, right? No one yet has
Right.
come
Right.
back and
Right. Right.
so you get one life, and you don't know when you're going to die. People have crazy aneurysms, different stuff. You can walk off the street, random car hit you. Who knows? So it's like you don't know the time you have. You only have one ride. Why not live? Why not go for it? Why not take a shot? Why not push yourself a little bit? There is nobody who has been successful that did it out of complete fear and never taken a risk and never taken a shot and never betting on anything. It just does not happen. I mean, the only thing is like, even if you buy a lottery ticket, right? You're like taking a little bit of like, I'm spending this money that has a very low chance of doing anything. And the few people that maybe do it, they still took the little risk of like buying the ticket. But like, if you want to improve your life, you got to do something. And like I saw Jerry Noren do a speech one time.
Okay.
And he had a nice quote where he was said, your earning potential, your revenue, the amount of money you're going to make is directly proportional and correlated to your risk tolerance. The
Okay.
more tolerant you are of risk, the more money you'll make. When
Wow.
you have very little risk tolerance, you take little bets, you take little shots. When you have a high risk tolerance, when you believe in yourself, when you say, I don't know if this is going to work out, but I believe that even if it doesn't, I will figure it out. I will find a way to make it work or mitigate it, or even it won't work, but I will survive. I will be okay. You take bigger shots, bigger bets, And those in time tend to pay off and you get bigger results. And so if you want your life to be better, you got to be willing to try to make it better, which means you got to push away the fear. You got to step out of your comfort zone and you got to try to do a little bit more for yourself.
Man, I'm telling you, man, this podcast is changing my life, my editor's life. No, really, we've been talking about it a lot too. Like, you people, the guests, and you, like, you guys are proof, like, proof of like hard work, and who would you trust? This is what this podcast is about, right? Real people with real stories.
Yeah.
We tend to like to listen to people who are already on the top, right? I'm pretty sure you are going you're on your way there, but like it's so much easier, not easier, sorry, it resonates more if I hear from a person like you. So I really, that's just wanted to say, like, every single time I talk to a guest, and now a lot of value in this. But I do want to ask you a question about how you do it. Not
Mhm.
technically, not because you've explained that very well. It seems like you're a person who grinds all day, grinds all night, and you've been doing it since you were 21 or even earlier. How do you do it? How do you stay on pace, manage your time, and still have time for your family? How do you keep your mind intact? I'm very curious
Yeah.
to know that.
Um, it's a good question. So I think one of the benefits for me is that again, my wife Christina, she's my business partner. She's my partner, not just in life but in business. So all the businesses we own them together. We work on them together. We bring different strengths. It's great to be able to bounce things off, but it also means then that we get to spend time together. Um, Although not as much as you may think, working together and working from home. There's still definitely times where we're both in our own office, and then like we'll come and maybe see each other,
You're literally together.
and like be like, or like we're really into something. And it's like we can decide who's picking up the kids from school today, and that's like the first time we talked in the last 6 hours. And we're like, wait a minute, we literally were in the same house working together. Like, how do we not see each other? But it is nice. I mean, there's so many times and opportunities to steal moments, and so working for ourselves, which again I have to credit her. I worked for a company that did TV and radio advertising, and she was essentially like had a company that was doing the marketing, but that was like her main client was them. So we effectively both kind of worked for this one company. And then there was some craziness going on with that company. That would be a whole nother podcast of crazy stories they had going on there.
Episode 2.
But I remember us going out to like Portillo's one day for lunch, and she's like, "Hey, I know this sounds crazy, but like I think we should leave and do this on our own. Like they're being crazy. We've tried to talk to them. We've tried to raise concerns. They're not making changes. We both say we don't want to be a part of this, but like let's actually take that action." So again, going back to the idea of like people want to improve their lives, but it's scary to step out your comfort zone.
Right.
And I got to give her credit where she was like, we need to step outside our comfort zone. We need to take this chance. I know it's scary. And like doing that has been one of the best decisions we ever made. And so, we quit, we started our own business. At that time, man, I mean, we had no money. We had to fight that company just to get our last checks. We had to borrow money from her ex-husband to just like get this to start. And it was just me and her like in our house. And from there, we built the marketing company up, and year over year growth and stuff like that, millions in dollars of revenue per year. We had like double digit growth every single year for several of the first years, got up to like 20 employees at one time. And so taking that shot was amazing. But because of that, we've now worked for ourselves for a long time. So we get to spend a lot of time together. We get to steal a lot of moments. That then trickles down to my kids. Like it's summer. My kids are home. Now, sometimes, yeah, it's a little frustrating when I'm trying to do a call and they're knocking at the door. But like frustrating in a good way, when they're like, hey, can you come play with me? Can you come watch this show with me? Can you come do this thing with me? But it's like 11 a.m. and I'm like, I would love to, but you're on summer break and like I'm still working. Like it's, but there is still moments that you can steal throughout the day.
Gotcha.
So you're at a corporate office and you go and take your 15-minute break. Maybe you're out having a cigarette, or people don't really smoke that much anymore. Maybe you're just out sitting down having a coffee, but you're just by yourself. When I take a break, I get to go and say hi to my kids and give them a hug and snuggle with them for a second, or say, hey, we're going to eat together. So some of the benefits is the fact that I work for myself and I work from home, and my wife works for herself and works from home. And so that helps give me more time with the kids and with the wife and stuff. So that's a good part. The other thing that I think has been a big unlock though for me because it is hard to sometimes juggle things, right? And you do got to prioritize. You got to say, hey, I'm going to carve out time to get to the gym, or I'm going to carve out time to, even just like watch this show or go to a movie on the weekend or go out to dinner or like,
Very
you
important.
know, play a game with some friends, right? You gotta prioritize some of that because you do need that to recharge and to be at your best for the work. And you think, oh, I'm just going to grind. I'm going to work 12, 16 hours a day. It's like you're going to burn yourself out and you're not putting out a good product at that point, right? So you do got to prioritize. But it's still a lot juggling, the multiple company stuff. And
Yeah.
so the biggest unlock for us has been AI.
Okay.
So I am now super, super into the whole AI space. So like when people think of AI, they typically are thinking of like ChatGPT or maybe
Yeah, yeah.
Claude.
The end user stuff.
Right. And like, but like they're using it like it's a glorified Google search, right?
True. An
And
automatic
it's
Google search.
right. And it's fun and it's cool, but I'll tell you the real unlock is getting to the point of using an AI agent.
Agentic
So
AI.
when I remember being back in like it was back in October, and I was actually at an owners club retreat, and I was going down the AI rabbit hole a little bit, and I was trying to get it to do things. But at this point, it didn't have memory. It didn't have like all the stuff now that that you take for granted. And I was like, this is really cool, but it's saying it's doing stuff, but then it's hallucinating a little bit, but then it's like forgetting things. I was like, oh my God. But I kept playing with it, kept messing around with it, right? And the speed at which it gets better is incredible. And then comes, January, February, and I hear about OpenClaw and this AI agent. And it's the hands. It can actually do things, right? Because I was
You
trying to,
feed
you
it
can go
stuff.
into
Yeah.
old ChatGPT and try and ask it to do something. It could actually interact with things, right?
Right,
Now
right.
the agent can't. And I remember in March, it was like the middle of March, and I was like, okay, again, I gotta stop just saying I'm gonna do things and I gotta do it, right? So many people, again, whether it's fear of failure or whatever, they say they're gonna do stuff and they don't ever make the move, and then they wonder why life's not getting better because you're not doing the things that you know you should be doing. So for me, one of the things I knew was like, I gotta figure this thing out if there's something here. So I took a weekend and I got OpenClaw and I figured it out. And I remember like at the time, everyone was buying Mac Minis and the price was skyrocketing to like
The
1,500
M4.
or 2 grand. And like you had to wait weeks for it to be delivered. And I
Yeah,
was like,
yeah, yeah.
I'm not doing that. I'm like, I don't even know what this thing is, if it's going to work or not. I'm not going to go drop thousands of dollars and wait weeks to figure this out. So I figured out a different way to get it all set up. And in the weekend, I was able to get it all set up. No extra hardware. It was fast. It
Really?
was easy. Oh yeah, yeah.
No
And so
hardware.
no hardware. I'll tell you what I got to now. Now I could set you up in less than 30 minutes. Like you'd be good to go. So, and I remember start playing and I'm playing with it. Right. And like it, it has been amazing, just night and day different. And like training it and building it up and like putting in rules. And so for me, I like puzzles and games and stuff. So some of it was just like architecturing the whole thing was really amazing. And I remember like the first week or so, I'm all in. And at first, Christina was like, I
What is this?
she's yeah, what is this? And then she's thinking I'm like shiny object syndrome, going down another path. We already have all these
Right.
companies, all these products. Now I'm gonna go add some new thing on, right? And then she's probably thinking that I'm gonna like pull her into doing it, and she's not on board with this yet, right? And Lee, I'm gonna be honest and vulnerable, man. I had the worst fight ever with my wife, a
I
decade
bet.
and a half together. And
As
I remember
husbands
it happened
do.
about a week or two in, and I'm talking this thing, I'm doing this all day. And I remember like I went and took a walk and I'm talking to my agent and I'm just planning all this stuff out. And it's amazing. It's like memorized stuff, it's making documents, I'm like planning all these different projects and how it can help me. But I don't realize I'm not paying attention. And my wife is getting upset, right?
True.
And the next day, we had this huge fight. I mean, to the point that like literally she's like, we need to get divorced. Like, this is not working. Like,
That's
you're not
big.
listening to me. You're getting more into this bot than you are into me. I thought I was your business partner. You're calling that a business partner. Like, it was horrible. But it was also one of the best things that ever happened to us. And this is the crazy thing is that like sometimes you need the pain to get through to other stuff. And all day we fought, but all day that fighting, that rawness, that emotion, that pushing through. Because even though it was bad and maybe she was saying that we're over, like I don't think either one of us actually wanted to be over. So you push through and you keep going. Even if you're fighting, you keep going. And we got a lot of stuff out. And literally it was like a TV show where you had like a breakthrough in our communication. And by the end of it, I'm like, just check out this thing. So then she starts looking at it. And all of a sudden she starts seeing what it is and she starts understanding. I'm not
That's
trying to
pretty
replace
cool.
And like,
That's
it's
pretty
really
cool.
cool. Yeah, it's really cool. And it's the same fear that I think a lot of people have. Oh, AI is going to take my job. No, AI is not taking your job.
It's not
You not using AI is how you lose your job. AI is a
true.
tool. AI is not replacing, it's enhancing, right?
True.
And so she starts seeing it. So then I get her own agent. I go, well, let me get you set up. And so then I was like, I got to figure out a way to create a setup so that it's easy for people to get their stuff set up. So then I create a little program to make it real easy for like other people to get an agent, and all the stuff I'm
Automation.
learning and building with my agent. I'm like, how do I give that to somebody so they don't have to go through the trial and error? They don't got to go through the problems. They can just have something that's ready to go right out the box, right? With all this stuff. So I give it to her. Lee, I'm telling you, it's been totally, I mean, saved my marriage. It's totally different. Our communication style has been better. Our workflow has been better.
More
The way
time.
we've been working on projects has been better. We've accelerated what we've done. We've unlocked so much productivity. I mean, it is, again, night and day different. And so now we both have our own agents. I gave it to a buddy of mine. So coincidentally, the guy I told you about that from back in the day that showed me how to, like, the mortgage brokerage
The
and all that
manager.
stuff. So he recently, like, he had moved away and like he came back, and we kind of stayed in touch over the years, but really haven't chatted for about 15 years. He came back and was like, hey, I'm kind of moving back. Hey, I'm kind of getting back into lending. I'm like, oh, I also do real estate. I own some properties. I help with lending, blah, blah. So we start connecting. And I'd mentioned to him, I was like, yeah, my assistant will send this to you. He's like, you got an assistant and stuff? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, all right, don't flip out, but it's actually AI. He's like, oh, that's cool. Like, what is it? So I got him set up on it. He runs like his whole brokerage over it now. I mean, he's doing like, he's got
That's what AI is for.
$300 million pipeline of commercial deals. And like at first he was like, yeah, I'm probably going to hire like 10 people and get this big office. And then I gave him the agent, and now he's like, I mean, shit, I could just run it all with this. Right. And like, I mean, I was just talking today. He's like, yeah, I don't know how I would have survived without this. He's like, I definitely wouldn't have been doing the deals I'm doing. He's like, I was doing maybe 5 deals over, at a time, over a month. I was looking at, he goes, now I'm looking at, dozens of deals, and I can still manage it all because I have the agent, And so it's been incredible.
It's been godsend, right? One thing that people, so I mentioned that I was an AI specialist from creative as well. One thing
Mm-hmm.
with OpenClaw is like, what I don't like about AI is the marketing. I think it's sleazy. I think it's disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
Even us calling it artificial intelligence, it's not really artificial intelligence. It's not consciousness. A lot of people
No,
who don't, it's not. It's not. It's still automation with a large language model and like who can do the
it's just
soft
pattern
part.
recognition.
Exactly. OpenClaw. I tried OpenClaw a few months back, but mainly for my project stuff for my old legacy machines. You feed
Mm-hmm.
it stuff. You feed it all the
Yeah,
PDFs that you can feed, and then they'll learn it, and then you can talk to it. So
yeah.
there's the talking stuff there. But that for me is still end user stuff. But the thing about AI is, like, you're right. It's not going to replace people. It's going to help people. Well, God, I'm thankful I'm in marketing because I'm not seeing that's going to be replaced by AI anytime soon. But right, that's what I don't like about it, the marketing in itself, right? What are your thoughts on that? It's being marketed as consciousness, take over the world. It's not really that. It's still a machine. What's your take on
I
that?
I think people, I think, yeah, the brand of AI has fallen really
Yeah,
fast, like
I like that.
really far, really fast. I think people misunderstand it. The silly thing
Yeah.
too, like, AI has been around for a long time. It's just better now. But like, if you played a video game back in the 90s and there's a little
Yes,
NPC character, that's AI. That
AI.
NPC, they had
We
the
used
thing
to
of a
call it
program.
AI.
Here's how you do it. Here's how it interacts with you. Here's, it answers your questions. It fights you, whatever. That's AI. It's just better now. I have
Yeah,
people that sometimes that they're like, "Oh, I hate AI. I'm never going to use AI." And it's like, do you use Google at all? Well, yeah, of course I use Google.
that's
Okay,
AI.
anytime you search something in Google now, the first answer is AI generated, right? Like, you do use AI all the time. You just don't realize it. I think that it will probably replace some jobs, but any technology does. Again, when email came along, it replaced jobs. When the car came around, you know what?
Machines.
Horse-drawn carts went out of business, but that doesn't mean that there's no jobs now. Like, there's more jobs after the automobile than before the automobile, even though all the jobs that were related to like horses drawing carriages don't exist anymore. I feel it's the same thing with this. It's an incredibly powerful tool. It will replace some jobs. The people that learn how to use it will be able to capture that and will be able to get jobs and get better paying jobs and jobs with more autonomy and more freedom. They will be able to do more, feel more ownership over what they do. And I think it'd be very good. I think, though, that, is it conscious? What is consciousness? It's pattern recognition.
It is.
Again, it's an interesting conversation to have over a drink, but I also don't know how germane or important it actually is. Like
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it's like it's a thing that you can talk to and it can help you produce stuff, but like
You can think it's consciousness, right? One can think it's
you could think it
consciousness.
is, you could think it's not. And again, like,
Right, 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 right.
is it going to take over the world? I see how people are afraid of that. You solve for intelligence, you solve for every problem. But even like the scary stories, like you've probably seen the story of like they go, oh yeah, so this this engineer told this AI that they were going to shut it down for like the new version, and the AI like read all of his
I
emails,
know that. I know that. I know that
found
story.
out that he was
It
like
was in the
having an
tech news, yeah.
affair, and then tried to blackmail. And you're like, oh
Right.
shit,
Yes, I know
that's
that. I
scary.
forgot the name of that CEO.
That,
Or
that's
COO. I
scary.
forgot.
You want to know the deeper part of that though?
Yeah.
He wasn't actually having an affair, and the
Yeah, he
and
wasn't,
the
yeah.
AI, they told it to try to preserve itself. That wasn't inherent in it. So the context matters. It's like, hey, feed it some information indirectly, then tell it you're gonna like essentially kill it. Also, before that, give it the mandate and directive of try to stay alive at any cost to as a test to see like what could it do or would it do. So I don't think AI is doing that inherently, right? It was
Yeah.
within a test, but like
It's still programmed into it.
it was programmed into it. So it's like that gets a crazy headline and people are so scared, but it's like, well, understand it was an experiment that was happening, you know?
Exactly.
So I don't know. I think it's going to unlock and do a lot of things. I mean, I saw people that again, some guy cured his dog's cancer because of AI. He was able to talk to it. He was able to take his dog's blood to a lab, get it synthesized, give it to the AI. It analyzed all the stuff. It told him, hey, you should fold the proteins like this, do this. When it goes back to the lab, goes, can you build this? They go, yep, they build it. He gives it to the dog. His dog is cancer free. Because he was able to chat with some AI, his dog is cancer free. That's incredible. Like,
Right.
that's amazing. And extrapolate that. Can we use that to enhance human lives? I think
Yes.
so.
Yes, 100%.
I think there can be amazing things. Now, again, on the dark side, sure, if we get a bunch of humanoid robots and you put a bunch of AI in them and they're smart enough, could they eventually do everybody's job? Maybe.
Maybe.
And like, I don't know, that's horrible. I mean, if we figure out a way to compensate people for that, and then we don't have to do work, and instead we can all just endeavor on things that are creative and fulfilling and joyful, and we can spend more
That's
time
it.
with humans because we don't have to spend time at work at a job we don't like. I mean, that
That
doesn't
would be
sound like a
amazing.
horrible existence
If that were to happen. But you're
if
right
that
with
were
that
to.
one. I like the angle that I got from you is its interpretation, right? Whatever you think is consciousness is, that's right. That's very subjective. Very
Mhm.
strong of me to say, but I think consciousness and interpreting it as human. That's what I was meaning, right? And I think you agree with me
Yeah.
on that. Like it's not gonna be human, no matter how human it can get. We will
Right.
still know. Like I'm surprised you know that news. Again, I forgot that company, but that's a true story. But yeah, it was still programmed to do that. It was
Right.
I think it was meant for brute force attacks and contracts and
They were testing it.
yeah, it was a defense network and security, I think, something like that. I forgot
Mhm.
why they programmed it that way. But on a different note, we talking about wins, we talking about how AI has helped. I want to talk about when AI was not there yet. The AI
Mhm.
now, because AI has
Yeah.
been there a long time. You're right, but when you were doing things more manually, or maybe the most difficult part of your journey, right?
Mhm.
We talking about the wins, let's talk about the challenges now. What was the most challenging part of your journey in any aspect of your business, from the, acquiring the electrical, your marketing, or even real estate?
Yeah.
Tell us an interesting story of your most challenging state, or your the most challenging part in your life, and how did you overcome it?
Yeah. Yeah. So there's definitely been challenges, and I'll be the first to admit to 'em. Again, it's not all ups, right? Like, I talk about again, people need to not be so afraid to take shots, and that doesn't mean you're always going to win. There's definitely going to be times that it's not going to work out, and there's been plenty of things that didn't work out for me. Um, Again, that property that I was mentioning, that first one I bought, so I rented it out to a nurse and her daughter, the two different units. They were paying great for a little bit. Then they both stopped paying. And I had to go through a very long, arduous process to evict both of them. And so, literally, like this first property and the first tenants I have with this new partner, I ended up having to evict people, right? That sucked. Um, Again, the marketing company, like, we're doing fine and stuff. And I've sold a lot. And it's funny, people are like, "Oh, you're a good salesperson." I'm like, I don't feel like I am, because I feel like if I was, I would have sold so much more. You know what I mean? Like I feel like there's so much more that we could be doing. Like on the marketing for the business side of it, when we help companies, we're able to put somebody on TV or radio at probably 50 to 80% off what they would normally pay. And I'm talking normal time frames, normal stations. Like I'm not talking 3 a.m. on a Sunday on some
Right.
channel. I'm like normal stuff, and we can still get those types of savings. So I'm like, how do we have that and we don't sell more? Right? That's challenging. On the political side, um, we started the political division because we had candidates brought to us from another company, and we directly placed with stations. We end up having one of those candidates not win, and he comes back and asks us, and he's like,
Wow.
"Hey, I'm not seeing this. What happened to the $500,000 I spent?" I'm like, 500,000. I'm like, we didn't get 500,000. We got $100,000. What are you talking about? He goes, no, I paid 500,000. I go, not to us, you did. Turns out the people that gave it to us, it was a daisy chain of brokers, all taking their cut. None of them until it gets to me, and they're like, yeah, we've got a schedule for you for 100 grand. Can you go place it? And that was the impetus for me and my partner in that business going, there's a better way. We need to do this better. But like that candidate didn't win. The people that brought us then got upset, probably at us for just being honest and telling them like, no, we only spent 100,000 because that's all we got from you. And so they're not bringing us anymore. So now we're losing a lead source. We're losing that. Um, Again, last year, as you might imagine, we like business. Christina and I, we start businesses. We raised money to start a wellness business.
Wow.
And so like peptides, like GLP-1,
Gotcha.
that kind of stuff. So semaglutide, tirzepatide, Samoralin, NAD plus, like all that stuff. And Christina put in a ton of time. I mean, she was working 10, 12 hours a day, 5, 6, 7 days a week. She put everything she had into it. And, you know, it was beautiful and it was nice, but things changed. The uh, medical provider group that we had, they kept changing the pharmacies that we're using. So it was very hard to lock in our costs. We had to keep redoing marketing that we would spend money to put out because things would change. The lead companies that were recommended to us from consultants that said like, hey, we're going to give you the full playbook of how to run these. We've helped, hundreds of these clinics get set up. They did not really provide a full playbook. And then the companies they recommended that's like, oh, we know how to do marketing specifically for this. Look, I have a marketing company. So I can kind of see through some stuff, but I'm also not going to be arrogant and go, look, if you're a company that specializes in advertising for exactly these kinds of medical clinics, we'll just pay you to do it. Didn't turn out great. They didn't do well. They didn't provide good leads. The economics changed. We had an idea saying, okay, this is what we're able to charge. And, 6 months later, regulation changes, things change. And now all of a sudden you've got a bunch of companies that are charging way lower. So now the
Gotcha.
amount of money we can make is different. And after a year of putting everything into that, we ended up having to close that business down. We lost money for the money we put in. The investors that we raised money, they were equity partners. They lost money. I mean, I still feel horrible about that. Like, sure, they were equity. They understood the risk. They take the upside. They take the downside. There's always the risk that you're going to lose money. But these are my friends. These are people I know. These are people I've done other deals with that now, I feel bad. And again, I'm not going to say that it wasn't my fault, but like I'm realistic enough. There's things that were outside of my control.
True.
So on the one hand, it's like, okay, not every business succeeds. In fact, most do not. You shouldn't feel 100% responsible. But again, I still feel terrible. I still want to find a way that, even if it's me just taking my own money that I make from other deals, not that they're technically owed that, but paying them back because I want to make it right with them,
Right. Right.
So
Right.
there's definitely losses along the way, whether it's, financial, whether it's social, you're standing with other people. But despite all that, I think the only time you really fail is when you stop trying. When you stop getting up after getting knocked down, that's a failure. Like failing to accomplish something isn't a failure. It's a learning experience, it's a setback, it's a challenge, it sucks. But failing only happens when you give up, when you stop trying. And that doesn't mean you don't like pivot away from like a business, but like when you just stop trying in general, that I think is true failure. And so, Some days are easy when you're getting wins. Some days are hard when you're taking L's. But ultimately, you got to find a way to continue to believe in yourself and to keep pushing forward and to keep taking shots.
That's great, and I think that's that's the lesson there, right? Were you always like this? As I've been wanting to ask, when you were a
I
kid, were you always like just keep going? I want this, I want that. Were you always like that? Was it natural for you, or was there a switch? Like I'm tired of this. I gotta like step it up.
I
What
think
were you?
I think I was. It's hard. I think you romanticize memories when you look back, but like I would say to a certain degree, I think I always was, and I got to credit my parents and like particularly my father. Growing up, he always told me, and I try to tell this to my kids too. You can do anything you put your mind to. And so from a very young age, I was instilled with this belief that you can do anything you put your mind to. And so I think there was always a certain level of confidence, and early on, probably not earned. So maybe there was cockiness, because I couldn't back it up yet. But like, there was always a certain level of that. Um, I think I've always, for better or worse, have felt that I was, pretty smart or intelligent enough. And so again, I think that also leads to this belief where if you feel that you're smart or if you feel that you're adaptable, then you feel, I think, less fear, right? Again, you're fearful of things when you don't know. You fear what you don't know, right? But when you learn, and this is why I think learning is really one of the best things that anybody can do to empower themselves. The more you know about stuff, the less you fear because you go,
True.
even if you're like, I don't know how, but I know I can figure out how. Or I know I can, if it goes wrong, I can figure out how to make it work or how to pivot or how to get out of it or how to have another angle. And so if you educate yourself with some knowledge and if you've got, decent intelligence, then you can have a certain level of confidence of saying like, either A, I'm going to figure it out, or B, even if it doesn't go right, I'll figure it out from there. And so I think I've always kind of had that. I will say it probably got much better in college, like after I got out of high school. Um, like I know, like particularly even like in high school, like I was never great with like girls or like like I was never like I'm not super tall. I wasn't like the most good looking or anything like that charming. But I do remember I think kind of like high school to college just being like just stop caring. Like F it. Just go and say hi to people. Like don't be afraid that they're gonna reject you or they're gonna say no or they're gonna think it's weird that you're just coming up talking. Just go for it, right? And I started getting like you get positive reinforcement from that because people want to connect. Again, you go up to someone and say something nice to them and just connect or just say hi or just smile or just look them in the eyes. And a lot of times people will look back at you and they'll smile or they'll be open. And so you get that kind of positive reinforcement. And then that bleeds over not into just like personal or romantic, but then like into business. Like, no, go for that deal. Ask for that sale. Try to make that thing happen. And again, it's stripping away that fear.
Right. What's the worst that can happen, right? But I would like to argue, handsome guy like you should have known he could have said hi in the
Oh,
first place.
you're too nice.
No, but anyway, I think it's a good transition to my last question and then the last request. You talked about confidence. I always first in the first question I ask this with all of my guests, and the last I would ask this as well with all of the guests. Um, in the perfect world, confidence and skill perfectly meld together, right? You have the right amount of confidence and the right amount of skill to qualify for that confidence, right?
Mhm.
But which one for you is more important? If you only had to lean on one or lean toward one, would it be skill or confidence? Which is more important?
Mm.
This is again very subjective. Our guests have a lot of
Yeah.
different answers. So, what's your what's your
So
take on this?
okay, let me analyze it. I'm just going to think out loud, so don't hold it
Yeah, go
against me.
ahead, go ahead.
Um, I think that as you develop skills, you then gain confidence, right? Because confidence is kind of bred from success, right? Um, it's funny. My family. I'm Scottish, and we have a family motto, and it's "Spem successus alit," and it's Latin for "success nourishes hope" or "success nourishes success." And I think that as you get successes, you then gain that hope or it leads to more success because you're confident, right? When you gain successes, you have more confidence that you will gain more successes. And so the way you get successes is to have skill, right? If you develop a skill, then you're likely to succeed at something. And in turn, you're then likely to believe or have the confidence that you will continue to succeed at that or can succeed at other things. But if you're talking about like first, so I think that skills are more important because they're more actual tangible and they can build real confidence. But before you have skills, maybe it takes time to build skills or build a knowledge base. I think you got to have some confidence. I think you got to fake it till you make it a little bit. I think
Okay.
you got to believe. It's almost like you got to have faith in yourself, right? And faith, by definition, is belief without proof. And so you kind of
Oh,
need that a little bit, right? You need that faith in yourself. You got to go, I've never done anything before. I have no skills yet. I have no knowledge yet. I'm going to go out and try to acquire some knowledge. I'm going to try to sharpen some skills. I'm going to try to work towards doing something. But along that journey, I'm going to believe in myself. I'm going to believe in myself when I have no proof. I'm going to just fake it till I make it, so to speak. But I'm going to have some faith in myself, and I'm going to be confident, even though I have no reason to be confident yet. And I think that helps fuel you. You get small wins, little successes that help build on themselves as you're building up the skill, as you're building up the knowledge. And then you get a win, not because you're faking it, not because you lucked into it, not because you just, charisma your way through it, but you get that win because you have the knowledge, because you have the skill, because you built that portion up. And so now it feels more earned. And so now that then propels it even further. And then hopefully it's a reinforcing cycle where you go, oh, that felt good. Let me go get more knowledge, develop more skills. Oh, cool. Now I'm able to do more things and succeed in more things. Now I do better. Now I feel even better. And so hopefully then it's a positive reinforcement cycle where they keep building on each other. So I would say ultimately you need skill. But I think that if we're talking about first chicken and
lean
egg,
toward.
gives yourself some confidence, have some faith in yourself, even if it's unearned yet, and let that be the fuel to help push you on the journey.
Gotcha. You muster and you master. That's what I got from you. Right. You
I like
muster
it.
and you
Muster
master.
and master. That's a good
Could use
one.
that.
I
Marketing here,
might
but
use that. Yeah, that's good.
you steal it. I've been
Steal that.
giving this a lot, giving a lot of these with a guest because like marketing and all that. But yeah, you're right. I said earlier that skills give you confidence, but confidence can give you, the strength to find the skill. So yeah,
Mhm.
no right or wrong answer. We're still trying to figure out what kind of content we can get out of all the answers from the guests, but this has been fun to ask. And my last request, Steve, um, what will be your final statement to our audience? Whether one person will watch this or a million people will watch this, will be your final message, final statement.
I think ultimately people need to be more curious and less fearful. I uh, I think that people are afraid of what they don't know, and I think fear traps a lot of people and holds them down in ways that they don't even always recognize. I think if you come at life from a place of curiosity, you're going to be less hateful, you're going to be more tolerant, you're going to be more open to ideas and opportunities. And I think overall your life is going to be better. And so I would encourage everyone to try to be more curious about people, things, places, anything in their life. And I think that curiosity in turn then leads to learning more, which helps you develop those skills, which I think makes you better prepared to execute on opportunities when they present themselves. I think that curiosity helps you to be open and see opportunities that maybe others don't see. And I think that curiosity, then, as you learn about other people and things, will help to eliminate fear in your life, which will make it easier then for you to take shots that will better your life. And not that every one of them will work out, but even the ones that don't work out, you can then feel good that you'll be able to deal with it. You'll survive it, and then you'll keep working at it, and there'll be another opportunity, and eventually one or many of them are going to hit. So be more curious.
That is an awesome, truly an awesome way to end the podcast. Thank you very much, Steve. And I hope we can keep in contact. Episode 2, hopefully.
Yeah,
If we're not
absolutely.
meant to.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.